Floating World is, at its heart, an adventure game, but it's mostly about confusion and communication. So the player is Clement Barber. He is an English sailor that has shipwrecked off the coast of Edo period Japan. He is brought to a small sleepy village and quickly finds out that no one there speaks any English, and Clement doesn't speak any Japanese, nor can he read any. So Clement, and therefore the player, has to gain the trust of the villagers and make his way through Edo period Japan. The whole system, get through there, get down to Edo, and find passage home. So we've developed some unique mechanics to help the player understand Japanese and be able to communicate with the NPCs. My name is Cory McQuhae. I'm a Canadian from Vancouver, BC. I've been playing video games my entire life. Favorite games include Fallout 1, Fallout 2, anything BioWare's made, a whole slew of other RPGs. The Floating World is not an RPG, it is nothing like those games. In fact, I don't have a deep history with adventure games. I found them obtuse in a lot of ways. A lot of the older adventure games I found were kind of trying to figure out even modern ones I guess, are figure out the developer's logic rather than actual logic. So, what I've always wanted to do was play an adventure game that was really based on just, not so much even setting, but just like feelings. Just the feel of the game is different, the feel of the world is different, almost real. And so the Floating World is based on that. It's based on confusion, it's based on communication, it's based on the player being confused, not understanding what's going on, and trying to make their way through this world that is so different, but also like fairly historically accurate. I have a history degree from the University of British Columbia, and so I'm decently capable at finding sources and looking stuff up and trying to confirm what I can. So with the Floating World, I've tried to make it as not historically accurate, but close to historically accurate. Some of the ideas are there, some of the look is there. The look is definitely there. And that's what I wanted to do with this game. That's what I want to do with an adventure game, is come at it from a different perspective. And the Floating World comes at it from this different perspective. An honest perspective. I'm the creative director. So what being a creative director on the Floating World means is that, one, I'm a writer. So I do all the dialogue writing for NPCs and Clement Barber. Problem is, only Clement Barber actually speaks English. Most of the other NPCs speak Japanese. I don't speak, nor do I read or write any Japanese. But my lovely wife is from Japan, so I got that in my pocket. Number two, my job is to spec out the gameplay mechanics. So that part is actually quite difficult. It's hard to try to imagine a gameplay mechanic and then see it come to light. And so I'm going through and I'm specking out, yeah, this seems fun. Yeah, this is a good, I don't call it a minigame, let's call it a different than the actual full mechanics you're going to be using, something to break up the gameplay, to introduce new, unique, and different experiences. And number three, my job is to organize people. My job is to check that everything that's being done is accurate to the whole feel of the game, to the look of the game, and just the accuracy of the time period. And that's what my role is. I lived in Japan for 2 years, and not being able to speak any Japanese, that created a lot of weird situations, a lot of kind of awkward silences, and I didn't know what people were telling me to do. I couldn't figure out the most basic of things. I also survived and had a great time. Then I started thinking, what would this be like in a video game? Like if the player wasn't meant to understand what's being told of them. And around the same time, I was looking at some pictures, some prints of Ukiyo-e woodblock printings, and they're absolutely gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. And I was wondering what would these look like if they were animated? Like, that'd be really cool. And several months went by, and I was doing some early work on the Floating World design doc. At the time, it wasn't called the Floating World, and I realized, hey, wait, these two ideas I had, they could be one and the same. I can make an adventure game based around my confusion of not understanding what people are saying, and also have this absolute beautiful, beautiful, beautiful traditional Japanese art style and bring it to life in a video game. I hadn't seen that before, and that's where it came from. I merged the ideas and I started talking to people, and then those people started talking to people, and before I knew it, I had a team, and the pictures came back and it was absolutely gorgeous. Japanese people hate root beer. Because the Floating World is different. It is, in the pantheon of video games, kind of off in its own weird little world. It's an adventure game, but it's not just point and click. In fact, there's very little pointing and clicking. You solve puzzles, but they're relatively simple puzzles. It's a game about feeling. It has a unique art style. It's a really cool art style. And furthermore, I'm absolutely fascinated with using video games as a storytelling medium. You do so many cool things in video games. Like you're not stuck to a television narrative. You're not stuck to like a movie's traditional 3-act narrative. Like, you can do so many different cool things with characters, interactions, player interaction, how the player interacts with the story, how the player connects. And the Floating World it's an experiment in that. It's not just a video game. It's meant to provoke feelings. It's meant to use the medium as a way to experience something completely different. That's why someone should contribute. Because it's different, because it's cool, and it's not going to be like anything else you've ever played.